Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of a new miniseries I'm starting called Remembering World War One. This episode happens to be about the Austro-Hungarian Empire. As you can see on screen, there's a lovely map from Wolfram Alpha. As always, that's where I get all my pictures from, usually. And as the 100th anniversary progresses, I decided to start this miniseries. I had an epiphany. I had a January the 6th. Really just holiday jokes. Very, very funny. But we should probably begin this by talking about, well, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, as I said. So let us get right into it. Now, firstly, it's important to think about what was the Austro-Hungarian Empire, just to get a bit of context before we discuss how it was relevant to World War One. In short, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, also known as Austria-Hungary, was a political union between the crowns of the Austrian Empire and the Hungarian Kingdom, which lasted from approximately the 30th of March 1867 to the 31st of October 1918. Eventually, the territory occupied by it in 1918 would eventually split up to become part of the countries such as Germany, Hungary, Austria, the Czech Republic, Italy, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, and the Ukraine. For the majority of its 51-year existence, it was ruled by Franz Joseph I of Austria, as both Emperor of Austria and King of Hungary. And and obviously, after Europe was in a state of peace after the Napoleonic Wars, there wasn't really much war going on, but all that horrifically changed on the 28th of June, 1914. I'm talking, of course, about the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Now, Franz Ferdinand was the nephew of Franz Joseph, being the son of Archduke Karl Ludwig of Austria, who was the Emperor King's brother. Now, Karl Ludwig had died in 1896, leaving Franz Ferdinand as the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. Franz had been born Franz Ferdinand Karl Ludwig Joseph of Austria-Este in what is now Graz, Styria, Austria. And for the most part, his life is not really remembered so much as his death. Like I said before, on June 28th, 1914, Franz and his wife, Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg, who he had married about 14 years prior, at the age of 37, were in Sarajevo, in what is now Bosnia and Herzegovina, when they were shot by a 19-year-old Serb known as Gavrilo Princip. And Princip just wanted Serbia to be... He just wanted the entirety of Yugoslavia to be liberated from Austria-Hungary. And he stated as much in his trial later. But anyway, Franz Ferdinand and his wife both died on that day. they both died. Franz aged 50 and his wife aged 46. And this caused Franz Joseph to declare war on Serbia, which, yes, was very unfortunate. Which would eventually, this declaration of war led to a chain reaction. Because obviously Serbia was the ally of Russia, and Russia was, I believe, the ally of France, and everything went downhill from there until the entirety of Europe, and eventually, the whole world devolved into what we call the First World War. And meanwhile, as for Princip, he would spend the rest of the war in a jail cell until he died before the war ended in April 1918 of tuberculosis, which was approximately 7 months before the war ended. Now, you may be asking, what happened to Austria-Hungary throughout this First World War? Well, obviously a lot of people got sent away to bloody die in some god-forsaken land where the sun has never shone, at least that's probably what the nationalists would say. Austro-Hungarian nationalists, that is. Besides a lot of their population being wiped off the face of the planet by human machinery, politically, what happened, in 1916, Franz Joseph died, and the crown went to Franz Ferdinand's nephew, Charles I. Charles I had been born Karl Franz Joseph Ludwig Hubert George Otto in Austria on August 17th, 1887, and he reigned for 2 years, until eventually the whole breakup of Austria-Hungary was effectively finalized. He lived for another 4 years, though, until April the 1st, 1922, when he died in Portugal, aged 34. It really makes you wonder if it was just a horrible April Fool's prank just gone wrong. But, nevertheless, Austria-Hungary would be succeeded by many different things, but its successors were usually seen as the Kingdom of Hungary and the First Austrian Republic, and obviously Yugoslavia, Poland, Czechoslovakia, all these powers all rose up from the absence of their Austro-Hungarian overlords, and many of them are still kicking even today. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been Remembering World War I, Episode 1. Next episode, we'll probably we'll be looking at another country. Not entirely decided yet. But there will be a next time. Do not worry. This is essentially just a nice little mini-series I wanted to try out. See how it goes with people. Not like I'll really care if people hate it, then they'll unsubscribe, and whatever. If people like it, they'll stick around. It'll keep getting made either way, really, because I enjoy making these. So, I will see you next time. Goodbye.